Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Zono Sports Show, where you know Zonos. Today we'll be talking about a few different things leading up to our first weekend of college football. I can't wait, in my Bart Scott voice. Now, there's a few things before the games do kick off this weekend that we need to know. Now, thing number one that I want to go over, a question that I have, will Alabama repeat? As you all know, Alabama repeated national championships in 2012 and 2013. They had a three-time champion, A.J. McCarron. He won the cheap one against Colt McCoy in 2010 where he gets hurt in the first quarter, which I don't really credit that to Alabama because, yes, you guys did knock him out of the game. However, he was only playing until the first quarter. So, AJ, we'll say you won two, de facto three, but they've had a pretty big history of winning national championships. They've got a lot of them. They won a lot with Bear Bryant. They've won a lot with Nick Saban. They've built a pretty traditional, great football program in Alabama, in Tuscaloosa. Also, they've got these new QBs, Cooper Bateman and Blake Barnett. I want to see what these guys can do, okay? Because I am used to the A.J. McCarrons, the Greg McElroys, even the Blake Sims of the world, who was a great, phenomenal athlete. I've got to see you guys play. Who's it going to be this year? Who's going to start? Because everybody knows quarterback at Alabama, there's a sense of added pressure when you're an individual who has to lead a team like that to another championship. Because, let's face it, every year there's expectations. So I'm anxious to see that. They've got a fresh defense. We'll have to see how it goes down there in Tuscaloosa this year. Also, another question that I need to know, that we need to know, can Deshaun Watson deliver the juice? Deshaun Watson, the Gainesville boy, the quarterback, 5-star recruit. He's been there at the program, bounced back from a knee injury, great player. But can he deliver what he's supposed to do this year, which would be a Heisman as well as a national championship? The Heisman hash brown fried countless defenses last year. As I stated previously, he had 4,000 passing yards, 1,000 rushing yards. Oh my goodness. If he's at Waffle House, he's on the grill and he's serving. So I will say that Deshaun Watson, he can deliver that juice, I think. However, we've got to see, can he take Clemson actually over the top this year? Because they did have that one possession away last year from a chip. They were one possession away. Al Pacino did say in Friday Night Lights, the 6 inches in front of your face. Dabo, he does deserve it. He's a great coach. I like the way he motivates his players. He seems like he is a player's coach. Dabo Swinney, I think he should get one just because of his body of work that he's done at Clemson. He's won all the big games, but has been known for not winning that big game at Clemson. Every Clemson coach has, but I think they made it over that hump last year with the big playoff win, and then the appearance in the national championship against Alabama where they came up just a little bit short. Like the barber would say, just a little bit off the top. Now, also, another question I have. Is Michigan back like Mike Jack? That's right, back like Mike Jack. Now, the reason I say that is because Harbaugh's got us hungry. We've been talking all season about, all off-season about Michigan and Harbaugh, and he's been getting into it back and forth with Nick Saban, a little bicker battle, war of words amongst two great head coaches. Now, the satellite camps, it's something different. We didn't have that when I was in high school. We just kind of, Spark training came to our school. We did some fun stuff, but we didn't have any real colleges come to our school and actually practice in front of us. So satellite camps, that's had me interested in what's going on in Michigan. Also, that Jordan on the uniform, I do think that will be a big thing with recruiting because let's face it, kids do like their 23s, that jump man. So I do think that Jordan will make a big impact in getting newer, younger players in Michigan who can make an impact at that young age, freshman, sophomore level, as we do see with programs like Alabama, like LSU. So I do think bringing in Rashawn Gary was a big thing for Michigan this year with him being the number one player overall in the nation coming out of high school. I like what I see out of Michigan. He set up his system with his guys. Now, they're not all his guys because this is only his second year at Michigan. However, I would say that these are some of his guys because he's gotten to recruit 1 year. So there's guys that he brought in that are freshmen this year, that are sophomores this year who got to play under him for 1 year. Also, you got veteran guys who got the opportunity to be in his system and learn how Harbaugh likes to work. Okay. Also, they got impact player Jabril Peppers, Heisman hopeful, dark horse. I do think he's someone who's a standout for the University of Michigan. And they are the oldest boys in the hood. Now, the reason I say that, Ohio State, they've got some seniority on their team with J.T. Barrett, as well as a few players on defense. However, Darren Lee, the loss of him, combined with Ezekiel Elliott, I do think that's a lot to bounce back from Ohio State. So, Michigan, they've got guys that have been in the program. Jake Butt, Jabril Peppers. They've got our receiving core, veteran receiver core. Now, with them being the oldest boys on the block, having a quarterback like John O'Corn, who is a transfer, also they don't have to deal with Connor Cook at Michigan State. I do think that makes them the oldest boys in the hood. So, Thursday night matchups that I'm interested in, some of you may be interested in. Indiana versus FIU. Every year, everybody talks about how Indiana is a program that is the one should watch out on week 1, but they always seem to win that week 1 game. They've got to play FIU. As long as T.Y. Hilton doesn't leave the Colts for a night and come back, I don't see them losing to FIU. Also, South Carolina at Vanderbilt. I watched this game a few years ago at Murray. Very competitive game. They had the transfer from Wyoming, Carter Samuels, and they played against Lattimore. That was a pretty good game, but these programs have gone downhill since. I do like South Carolina to win that game. They are the underdog. However, this is basically the battle of the bums, baby. Who's going to be at the bottom of the barrel at the end of the season in the East Division? Now, I don't say that to be mean. It's just truth. Vanderbilt had a very tough time in conference last year as well as out of conference. Also, South Carolina ended up 3-9 towards the end of the season. We thought they'd be so much better after that North Carolina game, but they were not. Louisville and Tennessee are also in action on Thursday night tomorrow. So we'll have to see what each one of those big programs will do because, I mean, let's face it, those are two championship contenders, in my opinion, potentially Tennessee more so than Louisville. Now, also Friday, you got the showcase game, Kansas State versus Stanford. Now, that's a big game because it's the mucho dinero moment for young Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian, everybody talks about how no one stays up late to watch you. You've got a Friday night game at home versus Kansas State. Come out, start off strong. You get the night to yourself. Show us what you can do and why you are the viable candidate for the Heisman. Now, everybody can watch that highlighted contest, so I do anticipate the ratings will be pretty high because people are anxious to see Mr. McCaffrey because he's gotten a lot of offseason hype, which is well due. Okay. Now, also, with our unofficial sponsor, Indy's 3-piece chicken box of questions, I've got a 3-piece for you today. We got some chicken back in that box. From David Moore, do you think Louisville can compete to win the SEC this year? Now, David, I do think Louisville's a great team. Honestly, I think they can compete if they win key games like the game at home early in September against Florida State just because it's early on. It's not mid-year. I do think they can beat Florida State at home, potentially. That's if Dalvin Cook does not get off. And they can shut down Sean McGuire, who I think is pretty average. If he were a pizza, I'd say he's just pepperoni with cheese. Nothing, no extra, not a meat lovers. He's somebody that can give you a little bit, but not give you a lot. So I do think they have a legitimate chance to challenge, but I don't think they'll win it because they've got to go to Death Valley, and I don't see them going to Death Valley and beating Clemson. So we'll have to see. Also, Corey Summers asked, do you think Louisville can beat Florida State or Clemson this year? That's a 2-part question because I just did answer a portion of it. I don't think they will beat Florida State, but I think they can. But I don't think they will, honestly. In Clemson, as I stated, they have to go to Death Valley. Deshaun Watson, Wayne Gallman, Ben Boulware at linebacker. I don't think that Louisville can match up on the edge with Clemson. I don't see it. Lamar Jackson, dynamic quarterback, he'll have to stretch that defense out a little bit. He'll have to use his legs and his arm just to kind of throw that defense off because he's a key portion of that offense. So I do think they can maybe beat Florida State potentially. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll beat Clemson either. So a big big answer for me for that question is no. So Keith Lunsford, he did ask me a question the other day that I didn't get to. Why haven't I shown the Oregon Ducks much love? Well, the reason why, Keith, is they play at Nebraska. They've got to go against a Tommy Armstrong. They've also got to play at USC, which I don't think they'll win that game. Also, they get Stanford at home late. However, they've got to finish up the year at Utah. So I just don't think their schedule sets up for them favorably to win the Pac-12, let alone compete for a college playoff berth. However, if they do beat Stanford and they get at USC, they get that win, I do think that, hey, even with a loss at Utah late in the year, because those games are back-to-back, the USC, Stanford, and the Utah game, I do think that they can actually make some noise if they can win that at USC and Stanford game at home late in the year. So we'll just have to see. Now, next show on Friday, we'll talk about Labor Day doozies, weekend matchups. Also, we'll discuss who's got the most to prove. We'll also discuss who's got the most to lose. So I look really forward to doing that with you guys on Friday. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night. It's our first day of college football. Also, NFL preview Sunday show. You guys have been asking about NFL. Cool your jets, Zosters. It's coming. I got one hot coming for you on Sunday, okay? We'll be breaking down our NFL season, seeing who our fantasy sleepers could be, who our fantasy busts may be. We'll also talk about teams who will win the division, okay? So I look forward to talking with you all. Talk to you Friday about these big games. And thank you for watching the Zono Sports Show, where you know Zo knows.